What's up guys and welcome to Nordic Investing. I'm Zain Elias and today we are looking at the recent Q1 reports of some big industrial companies in the Swedish region. We're gonna take a closer look at Volvo, Husqvarna, Trelleborg, SKF and Gränges. We are seeing some major trends here with recoveries in earnings and revenues. Economic activity is definitely gaining a momentum and these companies are all playing some part in this recovery. So let's start with Volvo. So taking a quick look at the highlights, we see that sales have increased by 3% if currency is also included. However, earnings have almost doubled since the same period last year, which is a good sign that demand for Volvo products is on the rise. Both operating income and earnings have seen a huge jump since March 2020. Volvo also reports that there is currently a global shortage of semiconductors, which affect production of vehicles. Volvo states that for the time being, this isn't a significant issue, but could result in further production pauses in the future, which also could affect earnings negatively. In the CEO letter, Martin Lundstedt states that due to the issues with the global supply chain of semiconductors, the production of trucks could be disturbed. Only time will tell at this point. In this key highlight, I wanted to focus on the fact that we see a spike in net order intakes in both the truck segment and also in the construction equipment segment, again, which is a good sign of coming profits for this year. We can also see in this highlight that sales, operating income and earnings per share have increased since 2020 first quarter, which is quite rewarding for the shareholders of Volvo. The biggest issue for Volvo right now is the low demand on public buses. Volvo reports that since tourism industry and commerce is on the low because of the global situation, demand for buses has been weak, which has contributed to an actual loss in the bus segment for Volvo. However, the more exciting news is that Volvo is heavily focusing on going electric and automated with trucks, buses and construction equipment, which is quite exciting. Volvo has started offering a variety of electric vehicles for sale. This can hopefully boost income in the near future. Also, Volvo is working on autonomous trucks where no driver is required. This will create some competition with Tesla, for example, which also is heavily focused on creating electric and autonomous vehicles. Looking at Husqvarna, we see a major increase in sales of 15% if exchange rates and acquisition is included. Operating income increased by 61%, with an increase in operating margin as well. So not only is the income on the rise, Husqvarna also managed to increase efficiency as well. Earnings per share for this quarter reached 2.89, which is an increase of 67% compared to last year. We can see that Husqvarna definitely benefited from the global recovery. In the CEO letter, Henrik Andersson states that all segments have seen an increase sales, so there is definitely a demand on Husqvarna lawn mowers, watering solutions and other products within the Husqvarna offering. Also, Husqvarna states that new products are being launched, which is good news since being able to produce new products and stay innovative is important for long-term business success. Now, I want to point out that even though we see an increase in net sales and earnings per share for this quarter, the quarter and the second quarter is usually the best period for Husqvarna because people buy more lawn mowers and other garden products in the spring and summertime, but not so much in the autumn and winter time. So these increases in earnings could be a seasonal effect, so take that in consideration when analyzing earnings. Turning our attention to Trelleborg, we see that due to currency movement, net sales declined with 3% compared to last year, which is not so significant as a whole. However, earnings before interest and taxes, excluding items affecting comparability, rose with 15%, which is a good sign of efficiency for Trelleborg, stating that this was the best quarter for both EBIT and EBIT margin. Now, when it comes to items affecting comparability, it is good that companies are transparent with certain income flows that are not recurrent. However, in the case of Trelleborg, almost every year there are restructuring costs, which makes you wonder why these restructuring costs never ends. So far, the restructuring cost for this year is 45 million crowns, which perhaps doesn't sound that much, but year after year, those costs start to adding up. On a better note, earnings have increased to 3.77 EPS, which is an increase of 24% compared to last year, which is quite a good result. Hopefully, Trelleborg can continue to deliver strong earnings for their shareholders. We see that for this quarter, since Trelleborg is in the polymer business, there are some new product launches which is always positive to see, because a company that can stay innovative and relevant will in the long run succeed. Let's now look at the next company. Gränges this year really came out with a strong opening. Looking at the first quarter of 2021, the volume of aluminium increased by 41% to 126.7 kilotons, compared to 89.9 kilotons last year. Gränges saw an increase in profits to 239 million crowns, which represent earnings per share of 2.24, which is compared to last year an increase of 43.6%. Also, Gränges created two new business areas, one which is focused in Eurasia, or more specifically in Sweden, Poland, China and France, this segment which represents 47% of sales for this quarter. The other segment is the Americas segment, which makes for 53% of sales. Since the report came, Gränges saw an increase of about 8% in the stock, which is very convenient for the shareholders of Gränges. In the CEO letter, Johan Menkel states that the operating profit reached record level of 342 million crowns for this quarter. Last year, Gränges made a big investment and bought a factory in Konin, which has this quarter contributed to 49 million crowns in operating profits, which is not bad at all for starters. Gränges have enjoyed an increase in aluminium prices, which has contributed positively to revenues and earnings. Due to higher pent-up demand in especially the automotive business, prices on metals such as aluminium have been driven upwards. How the aluminium price will develop in the future is still uncertain, but for now things are looking good for Gränges. Lastly, looking at SKF, we see a small decline in net sales, which according to the CEO Alrik Danielsson is due to the cost inflation and effect of currency. However, looking at operating profit, we see an increase in the quarter compared to the first quarter of 2020. We also see an increased profit margin, which means that SKF managed to decrease variable costs of production such as wages or raw material. Basic earnings per share came in at 3.91, which is, compared to same quarter last year, is an increase of 42%, which is a good step forward. At the day of the Q1 report, the stock dropped 6.38%. This could indicate that expectations were too high for SKF, or that valuation was already high enough and the reported performance didn't match expectations. The biggest news of the quarter is that SKF is investing 400 million crowns into expanding its manufacturing facility in Italy. There will also be consolidations of factories in Italy, which will probably lead to restructuring charges. For the coming quarter, SKF states that demand has improved gradually, which should contribute to a growth of net sales. However, due to currency differences, operating profit is expected to see a loss of about 400 million crowns compared to last year based on current exchange rates. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the highlights for some of the Q1 reports that came out this week. Do consider to like and subscribe if you have enjoyed the video, and remember to always do proper research before investing your hard-earned money. See you in the next video and thanks.